Andrea asked us to do a video in Business Builders a couple weeks ago to call out those people who have decided to make 2020 a focused year of business building. Partly, she loves the decision-making part of what it means to take your business to the next level. And because that was truly our story early on was, you know, haha, let's kind of play with this business. Isn't this fun? Look at us doing a Young Living business for the first 5 years. And then the flip happened when an income needed to be replaced in their home. And extra money in my home sure wouldn't hurt anything, being newly divorced. So it was like, all right, it was a win-win. And we partnered and jumped forward together. She said, I asked her, I said, well, what was the purpose of the video? What are we doing with it? She said, honestly, Ann, she's like, I just need to know who's in and who's just kind of playing like we did. And so she said, that helps me. We've both gone through the list of the people who commented on that particular video. And that's how we've determined that people are paying attention, they're focused, they're declaring, they're intentionally growing their businesses in 2020. Now, are there other ways to get people's attention, like by calling them up and asking them and, you know, and having conversation with them? Absolutely. Does everybody check Facebook, you know, and see random live videos like that? Not necessarily. So could we have missed a few people? Absolutely. Absolutely, we could have missed a few people. So I do, as I talk to you today, I'm recording this because I'm going to put it on a YouTube link so that you can send it to people who also may be ready to make the decision to grow their business this year, but miss the video or aren't plugged in the way that you are plugged in. Does that make sense? So this is exclusive for this morning because you've chosen this, you've participated in this. There are other people, I will also say on behalf of the elite leaders of our team, our silver and above leaders, are kind of set apart. There are leaders on their teams that have also declared. And so they have this. So Andrea, you know, I asked her, we had a 4-hour call on Thursday morning. And I asked her, I said, what are we doing with this? And she said, I'm going through and marking down all the names of people who declared it. And she said, I'm going to take like 10 people to really pour into that aren't being served by another leader right now. And so so to me, you are those 10, 11, 12 people, as we, you know, bring in some from the edges who aren't maybe being served by another leader right now. So know that you have my personal coaching. We'll do this a couple times. I mean, we do dream building once a month. There are habits and routines that our team does that I think she's going to start doing as well. But know that you guys are the ones that I choose to tap for that. And we'll ask for input and advice and also how can I support you to reach your goal? The part that I love about that question, how can I support you to reach your goal, is that it comes down to your goal. And this vision time today, I want it to be a little bit heady and hearty, heart-centered, but I also want it to be a little bit practical. So I'm going to spend the first 20 minutes being a little bit heady with you, and I'm going to spend the last 20 minutes being a little bit practical, and then I'd like to just wrap up with questions and that kind of thing. Does that sound okay with everybody agenda-wise? Okay. I also have an hour designated for this today. This begins the conversation. This doesn't close it. This begins it. The form I sent out yesterday begins a conversation, you know, with your responses to me, with you having, you know, like that begins a conversation as well. If you haven't gotten to it, it's cool. You can pick it up later. It's just another way. It's a way that I can communicate with you without having, it just helps. It kind of assimilates it all for me. The first thing is I want you to know that I choose to grow and become a diamond leader. I choose that. I choose to become a diamond leader. I choose for us to become a diamond team and to manifest that. So my friend Tracy gave me this recipe for a manifest roller. So if you brought your believe and your abundance, the drops are 5 drops of each and carrier oil in probably just a 5 ml roller. You don't need a big guy. I mean, if you've got a little one, a 5 ml roller makes it pretty strong. Abundance and Believe, and she calls it the Manifest blend. I would love for us to choose that blend as the oil that our goal is what Shauna's called it in the past. Platinum leader Shauna Allred has called it a goal oil. So anytime you pull out your reading, your visioning, your notes, your stats, your fear, you pull out your Manifest roller and put it on. 5 drops each, Abundance and Believe, and she said a 5 ml roller. So if you've got a 10 ml, just increase your drops. But anytime you're revisiting those things, we know that oils, scents, help lock in or anchor in an affirmation or a thought. So using that together with intention can help be that for you this year. One of the quotes that I love from John Maxwell, and many of you were at convention this past year, so you heard him say, well, we're going to come back to his law of the lid. But this is the law 4 in his 21 laws of irrefutable leadership. So John Maxwell, 21 laws of irrefutable leadership. The law of navigation says that anyone can steer the ship, but it takes a leader to chart the course. Anyone can steer the ship, but it takes a leader to chart the course. One of my favorite parts of this quote is, and I put it in my notes, that's where it is. I'm like, where is it? It's not on this page. One of my favorite parts of this quote says this, because this truly, stepping into executive, silver, gold leadership requires a mantle, a different vision of who you are. Because we can all steer, but do we have a vision of what's to come? Listen to how he says this. Leaders who navigate do even more than control the direction in which they and their people travel. They see the whole trip in their minds before they even leave the dock. You can see the whole trip in your mind before you even leave the dock. They have a vision for their destination. They understand what it takes to get there. They know who they need on their team to be successful, and they organize the obstacles even before they appear on the horizon. So 21 laws of irrefutable leadership, that's John Maxwell's quote, but it's the idea that you are charting the course for your team this year. I'm going to guide a little bit along the way. I'm also charting the course for new people that I'm bringing on board. You are taking on that mantle of leadership for where you are guiding your team to close 2020. We say, and we said this a lot at Black Friday planning and execution of all the great things that happened that weekend. All the things that you do throughout this year culminate in those massive sales and purchases and expectation in that particular week. All the things that you're doing lead up to that being a great month, not just for you, but for your team leaders. Who's going to rank to executive that next year on your team during that time? Instead of seeing, who's going to rank to silver on your team during that time? Because you've built the foundation for stars, senior stars, executives to be created, because your vision, all the things that you do this year lead up to that. It's kind of a pinnacle, there's no way to sugarcoat it. It's a pinnacle of growth in our businesses. It's also, I'll also say that the top leaders will tell you that it charts where you're headed next. It's the trajectory of success. So in fact, Connie has one time said to me, you can look at your November numbers and expect that in 3 to 6 months, that's where it's going to level out. So you push to then level, not push to drop, but push to then level, because you've brought your team to that point. So as you're planning out 2020 with all the tools, all the resources that we have, keep that in mind. Okay, now that's getting practical. I'm gonna step away from practical for a second. Connie also brought us in to a conversation with her a few weeks ago, and I recommended this book to my elite leaders, my silvers and above, The Game of Life, You Are a Badass at Making Money, and Richard Bliss Brooks' Mach 2 with Your Hair on Fire, which is his vision book. Okay, Game of Life, I think Badass is here. Anyway, the green one, the badass green one. But I want to start with this one because that was part of the reason I was running a little bit late today. I chose to finish this book. My mom said, I've only gotten through the first 5 pages. There's so many nuggets. And I said, yes, but choose to read through the whole thing and let it just sit with you. Here's a snippet of what you'll find in this book. First of all, it's fitting. It's fitting that it's 2020 because this book was written in 1925 by a woman named Florence Shinn. A woman in 1925 released this book called The Game of Life. She was being hired to counsel people. She calls it something weird. I don't know. It's not counsel. She calls it something weird. But to basically ask God for blessing on behalf of others. There's Chris's version. Chris said, I've read that book for a long, long time. Look at that. That's like totally 1970s, like cover and all the things like that drippy light. I have old church books that look like that. She uses scripture. For those of you who are scripturally based, she uses scripture to talk about how Jesus calls us into abundant life. And so similar to those of you who are going along 21 days of prayer, opening your mind to how God is working in your life, I feel very good about the study of this book. Here's one of the things I thought was awesome that I wanted to share with you. You may not know, as we start this call today, what your vision is. Like, come on, Ange, tell me the things. You know, you may not have a vision of what that is, and I'm going to take you through an exercise in a second that I think that will make sense. But you may not have the faintest conception of what it is, for there is possibly some marvelous talent hidden deep within you. So your demand or prayer or request, right? Ask and ye shall receive, should be, infinite Spirit, open the way for the divine design of my life to manifest. Let the genius within me now be released. Let me see clearly the perfect plan. So that prayer coupled with, or declaration or affirmation or whatever you want to call it, those things combined with your manifest blend, with your charted course for the year, with the vision that we're going to establish a little bit of today, brings it into being. And I will. I'll type it up for you. The other story, or the other thing I wanted to read to you was this. Oh my gosh, there's so much. I can open any page and read to you something. In divine mind, there is only completion. Therefore, my demonstration is completed. My perfect work, my perfect home, my perfect health. Whatever you demand are perfect ideas registered in divine mind and must manifest under grace in a perfect way. You give thanks for what you've already received that is invisible. So you don't actually have it yet, but you give thanks as if you do. And make active preparation for receiving the visible. One of my students was in need of a financial demonstration. She came to me and asked why it was not completed. I replied, perhaps you are in the habit of leaving things unfinished, and the subconscious has gotten into the habit of not completing. She said, you are right. I often begin things and never finish them. Who can relate to that? I'll go home and finish something I commenced weeks ago, and I know it will be symbolic of my demonstration. So she sewed something, and the article was soon completed. Shortly after, the money came in a most curious manner. Her husband was paid his salary twice in 1 month. He told the people, his employer, of their mistake, and they sent word to just keep it. When we ask, believing, we must receive. for God creates the channels. Powerful, right? So the heady part of this is we have all the skills and tools and resources at our fingertips. We do. We have loads and loads of challenges and contests and 30 days this and you go do that and all the things. And yet still, we find ways to avoid doing the work or doing the action or blocking the abundance that's coming our way. I took some notes for today. So remember that you are called to be significant. Awesome, Casey, thanks for sharing that. Yeah, and we can come up with even little things like a parking space being open right next to the entrance of a grocery store. $50 Southwest voucher. Both Casey and her husband received it. So now she has $100 toward her flight to come to Ignite in February. Casey has to work really hard to get there. We all get to roll out of bed and like roll down the road. So it's very, very awesome to consider how we're building lives of significance. Are you passionate about what you're creating? To pull yourself outside of yourself and try something new, to let God do the how and you do the faith. Can you see yourself changing the world over just selling kits? It's one thing to say, I want my friends and family to be free of toxic chemicals in their life. It's another thing to say, my business is going to help put the toxic chemical business or the pharmaceutical companies out of business. See the difference in that? Like, it's great, it's local, and it's kind to help our friends and family, but what can we do that impacts more? Gary Young's vision was to bring essential oils into every home in the world. There was no question about what tariffs were going to be paid, how customs was going to be handled, if people were high socioeconomic or low socioeconomic. He chose to declare Young Living is about getting essential oils into every home in the world, and we are part of that vision. We're part of distributing, sharing, teaching, showing, shifting lifestyles to accommodate that kind of vision. We're part of carrying that out. So here's a little bit more on my word becoming. Who are you becoming? What kind of leader are you becoming? How am I becoming a diamond leader? It starts now with you starting to think about when your team is 5,000 members or 1,000 members or 600 members. What does communication look like with them? What does the community and culture look like with the people that are in your life? Where are you taking your team for retreats and connection points and growing with them? How are you celebrating with them? What can you picture? The who will work itself out. This is a little bit of the what. This is a little bit of the what leadership looks like. I pulled up a video. I told you I was on a Frozen kick. I pulled up a video from our website, from our YouTube channel, because we were laughing about the old videos that we have on our YouTube channel. We were trying to tell our media guy that we could delete them. And I told Andrea, I'm like, no, we all need to see you with dark hair back in 2014, teaching, how to offer the 4-year career to someone. Because guys, in 6 years, it hasn't changed. You still ask somebody if they would like to read the 4-year career and when you could expect to get it back from them to talk about it. Same thing. Anyway, there's this video of Andrea and her sister and I singing a remake of the Let It Go song about encouraging people to come to convention in 2014. And it's called Gotta Go. Like, you got to come to convention. And we changed the words to encourage people to do it. You'll see it in the next couple months. Now, the problem is we can't get anyone else to convention right now because we're sold out of tickets, supposedly. But if there becomes an opportunity for us to get more people to convention, there's going to be a revival of the Gotta Go video. But that was our first executive retreat. It was my mom, Andrea, and me, her sister, and a friend named Sandy, who came to our Ancient Oils of Scripture class one winter and brought a ton of people from church the next year and ranked to executive. That wasn't anything hustle oriented, you know, like it wasn't Tracy Campbell's, you know, little cabin in the woods. It wasn't what it's become. That's what it was. It was just us. And we chose to celebrate it. So how do you choose to see yourself leading and celebrating with your team? Whether it's in gatherings, whether it's gifts that you send, whether it's words of affirmation that you share, etc. Does that make sense? So getting those things in mind about what you're going to do when somebody hits star, what's going to look like when you get somebody to senior star, those are the whats of leadership for you to start considering now wherever you are in your business journey. We have some loose ideas as Living Well Now. Ours look a little differently. Ours look a little differently. Tracy Nielsen, my girlfriend here in Carlsbad, when I first met that crew at Gold Retreat in 2015, they had just, I'll say this for them. One of the things I loved, most of them were building online, but they had all committed to go to Winter Harvest the year before. I've never, ever been to a Winter Harvest. But that was an important time for them and many of their up and coming leaders to connect in person for the very, very first time. They envisioned what that would look like, and people paid their own way and came to Winter Harvest. In the same way that we ask people to come to Ignite or Convention or GoPro, those are the events. Is that where you see your team celebrating? Is that where you see your team uniting? Is that where you see those connections being made? So that's the what. Now I want to do a little bit with the why, because I told you I'd say about 10 more minutes for this. So I want you to write this where you're going to keep it. So whether you write it right in your planner somewhere, even in a tiny little corner. But I want you to write down some goals, and I'm going to give you parameters about what those goals look like. This is about what's possible for each of you. For Shelly, for Casey, for Carrie, for Tamara, Renier, I think I got it, for Chris and John, for Brandy, for Christina, for Cassie, for Elizabeth, for Tanya, for Sonia. Wow. We have Carrie's, Jerry's, Tanya's, and Sonia's. This is exciting. All the rhyming names. I also choose to invite people whose names don't rhyme to our team. But this is for all of you. All of you. And if you're watching a replay of this, this is for you as well. 5 things that you will do when you earn $5,000 a month with your Young Living business. See, the health of your relationship with money is in direct alignment to your success. Money is a tool. It's energy. Good people can do good things with money. So when we write these things down, we're going to look at what it looks like at $5,000, what it looks like at $10,000, and what it looks like at $20,000. Because we can rationalize making $500 a month or more. We can kind of write that off. We can even write off a little bit about what $1,000 a month is, and we've already started to envision that. So we're going to go bigger. When you put it in perspective, that $5,000 a month would allow you to do these 5 things. It starts to reflect your priorities. When I only made $1,800 a month as a teacher, I'm sorry. Yeah, $1,800 a month as a teacher. I was like, surely it was more than that. No, that's all it was. When I made $1,800 a month as a teacher, I still gave, I still saved, and I still had expenses that I had to cover. It puts it in perspective, right? To now consider how you would spend $5,000 a month. Now consider 5 things you would do earning $10,000 a month. Now what happens? Who do you become at $10,000 a month? Where does that money go? Keep in mind, with what you do with a little expands when you have more. The next set of goals I want you to write down are the things that you would do with $20,000 a month. Keeping in mind that this is $240,000 in a year, which is $10,000 less than the top 1% of people in America. The top 1% of people in America earn $250,000. So by earning, just doubling to $20,000 a month, you're in the top 1% financially. What freedom does that bring? What opportunity does that bring? If you'd like to post.
Does that mean?
Go ahead.
Is the last one $20,000 a month? Okay, just making sure.
Yeah, $20,000 a month. You can post it in the chat. If your top one that moves you today. And be as specific as possible. Here's the other thing we hear a lot. Pay down debt. How much is it? Is it $35,000 of debt? Is it $400,000 of debt? What exactly is it that you release? By writing down these things, what does replacing a husband's income look like? Does your husband really want to leave his calling to be home with you, staring at the walls? Is it really about retiring your husband? Or is it about creating freedom for him to have a different life if he chooses that, or only work when he chooses to? Or how do you have that conversation with him if you don't know? Does that make sense? So it's the specific part of this is, what's the vision look like? Shelley?
I was just going to say, you just saying that made me shift my words, because at $20K a month, I was going to retire my mom. I don't know if she would like that. I think I would rather hire her to help me do things.
Yeah. And Shelley, exactly. And by putting that down for $20,000, you might realize that that's something that you want sooner than later, or that she chooses sooner than later. I think about Bethany Shipley's dad being her assistant as she's been moving through the ranks to diamond. Absolutely. I put them, oh, there, I put them right there. Speaking of dads, mine just came in. Everybody say, hi, Dad.
Hey, morning.
Thank you. So again, yeah, summer home. Cassie, where is it? Who's there? What kinds of activities do you do? What does it provide you? You know, I think about how many, we've come here once a month since October. We may have even been here in September. We were thinking, oh my gosh, Jerry and I were counting up, like, it's like we don't do anything touristy or crazy while we're here. We literally just relax and work from wherever we want. Carlsbad has become that once a month getaway place. Is that part of it? Is it part of just, what is the freedom to travel? Where do you want to go? The clearer you can be about your picture of what financial freedom looks like, what true freedom looks like, what true health, healing, wholeness looks like, right? Because all of that is what we're asking in this conversation. Then to become that, to choose that, to have that, who do you have to become? Do you just want 2 kayaks, Chris, or do you want more than 2 kayaks? Just one for each of you? 10 kayaks and a car that can take toys on trips, massages 2 months or more. Guys, I hired a housekeeper when I was silver for once a month. And I just told her last week, 2 weeks ago when she was in, I said, I think I'm ready to have you come twice a month. Choose. This was a surprise to me. My friend Tracy, she has her laundry done by somebody. Did you know you can hire laundry service? Like if laundry is the thing that drives you nuts, hire somebody to do that. But she got really specific about what that meant. My friend Ashley is a runner. And the big thing in the running, like fast running community, is that you try to qualify for the Boston Marathon. Like you can't just sign up for the Boston Marathon. You have to have a really fast time to be able to be a Boston Marathon qualifier. And there are particular races throughout the year that you can use to qualify. And she, and the thing that the habits that she had to qualify for Boston weren't about just, I'm going to, this is the year I'm going to qualify for the Boston Marathon. She had to become disciplined and focused on that thing. And as she became disciplined and focused in that thing, it created discipline and focus in the other things. So Shauna did a really good job yesterday in the call talking about behaviors of a silver, behaviors of a diamond, processes of reading, daily consistency, making sure that seeing the obstacles that will come and clearing them before you get to them. Those are the things that are the habits and behaviors that are going to affect your business. But now I'm getting a little practical. I want to hear from, two massages a month or more. Cassie's got the same thing down. Anything else? Painting a clear picture. What are you willing to hustle for? What are you willing to struggle for? What's the bigger vision here? What are you passionate about when you start to think about these things? Okay, those are the ruminations for the next couple of days through the weekend as you sit in this a little bit and work through this a little bit and allow some of this. I've asked a few of you to tell your business story today, especially what you're most excited about. Can you each come live and do that? I love it, Tanya. Good, yeah, thanks for putting those in there. I love that Tanya and Sonia are going right after each other so that I can say that together. It makes me giggle.
Can you say the question again?
Yeah. So this next part is, I just asked a few of you to tell your business story. So Casey, do you want to go first as you're taking a drink of water? I'll take a drink of water too.
Yeah, so I was practicing in the car last night because I haven't really said my business story in a while, especially with people that mostly know me. So 2 years ago, 2 years in April, I really made the decision to start a business. So my first piece of advice is don't do what your leaders do wrong. And I hobbied for like 4 or 5 years, like the Layman's did. And it was about 2 years ago that I was like, okay, I either need to stop hobbying or I need to be serious about this. And I spent several months praying about it, and I stepped away for like almost 6 months and was like, you know what, I miss the community. I miss a lot of what Living Well Now is, and realized that God had given me this business to share and grow a business. And so that was a big thing for me about 2 years ago. And in that 2 years, I went from being right at the senior star level for years to an executive within a year. All right. Yeah. So executive that November. And then now I'm helped John and Chris become executive this year. And just really, it's been really cool to see that expansion and how fast it's grown in that 2 year period. And it's just like she was talking about earlier, making that decision, like I'm going to do this or I'm not going to do this. And it's okay if you're not. It's okay if you want to hobby for a while. Like I wouldn't trade those years for anything because of the personal growth that I went through, getting to know God, meeting my husband and marrying him, moving to Tennessee. Like so much changed in those 4 or 5 years that I was involved without being committed to my business. So if that's your process right now, go for it. Like, enjoy every piece of it. But if you really want these things that you've been writing down, go for them, do them, and commit to it. And listen to what our leaders are saying, because the things they're saying are true. Like they're telling us to enroll people, to get consistent customers on Essential Rewards, to share the business with people. Those are the 3 things that I got serious about 2 years ago, and that's what made my business happen. I did not mean to say it all like this. But so that's really what it comes down to. Like, do those 3 things. Like, I was always like, okay, yeah, do those 3 things. What else? Like, and I would like go off on all these tangents. And it was really when I started thinking about those. And the hard thing is balancing the 3. So last year, I kind of went really serious on the leadership side. And I really helped support John and Chris. I have another friend that I've been helping support this past few months. And that's where my big focus was. And I kind of slacked off on the prospecting. So that's where this year is like, okay, let's find that leadership vision of how can I no longer just focus on the leaders, how can I continue building new leaders at the same time as helping them rise up. So that's kind of been the shift going from executive getting into silver is, okay, we've got to balance this if we want to keep this momentum growing, because I can't just have two leaders and get to gold. I need to have a 3rd one coming. I need to have more people. So that's kind of been the shift in the last few months in particular of like, what does that look like long term, and starting to see the bigger vision. Because I've always been like, I want to be silver. Okay, well, what does that mean? What does it mean to get past silver? And so it's been more of that big picture. Like I've been stepping into that more leadership that Angela was talking about, of really seeing that bigger picture, and not just for myself, but for my team. Okay, well, what is it for Tyler? What does it look like when she hits star, when she hits senior star? Where am I going to be in those places? And so it's been kind of cool to like start thinking not just about myself and my business and my goals, but okay, well, where can I help cast that vision for other people too? So,
woo!
Yeah.
Bring it, Casey. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Brandy, you want to go next?
Sure. I've been doing this since 2013. I was just interested in the products, and so I loved them, and so I was sharing them. And as you know, I've shared with Cassie, and she kind of dove right into the business, and she kept telling me, you need to do this as a business. And I kept telling her, I'm not a business person. I'm not doing that. I'm just sharing it because I love it. And she kept telling me, that's the business. It took me ever to get that through my head that was the business. I mean, like a slap in the face over and over and over again. So I hobbied for a long, long, long time. And I don't think I finally realized it until I kept hearing over and over that your team kind of only moves as quickly as your leader does. So my team was moving at a turtle pace because I was moving at a turtle pace. So I really need to step it up, and I feel like I have been, but I need to show more action in that. So that's what I'm doing now. To get to be silver, I realized how much I needed to help the people on my team grow to be stars, senior stars, executives. And then when I do that, I mean, I could say I'm doing that or I can do it. So those are two different things, and they look totally different. So that's really seeped in my head now, finally. So it's all about the action and making it work. And so that's what I'm focused on now, as I try to maintain my silver, and go for gold at the same time. And letting my leaders under me know that I'm doing this, and I'm your leader, and this is what I'm going to do to succeed, and this is what you need to do to succeed. And I think that when they see you take action, then they're going to take action.
Yep. Action fakers or action takers.
Yes.
Right? Carrie Blanchard said that at our last dream building. I thought that was that stuck in my head. I think that's actually Fraser Brooks, but yes, thank you. Mm-hmm. Awesome, Brandy. Thank you. Shelley, tell us a little bit about your journey.
Sure. So I joined Young Living about 3.5 years ago. My friend Carrie had just come back from convention and was offering a starter kit deal. And I was like, I'm in, had never even been to a class, but was already making healthy changes in my life and was interested in using oils to kind of swap out the toxic products. So as a single mom, this kit was a significant investment for me. So I was determined to open every single thing that came in that box. And that's exactly what I did. And I started going to classes and learning about everything that is possible with oils. And that is when I really fell in love with the community and loved being around the supportive groups, and was like, you know what? I think I could do this. I think that this is something that I would want to share with my family and friends. So 3 years ago in October, I officially launched my business. And I've been sharing with anybody that is willing to listen to me talk pretty much at this point. And it's been wonderful at continuing to build relationships with people. I have friendships that I would not have had otherwise. And the paychecks have been lovely as well, just to have that little bit of padding for unexpected expenses as they come up. And it's been wonderful to help pay for my daughter's gymnastics career, which has since ended, but things still come up. And I think I am excited for 2020, really just around my vision for the year. My theme for 2020 is to get clarity. And I think I lost a little bit of that last year, just being super busy with my day job and still not ever thinking about quitting, but kind of losing why I am doing what I'm doing with Young Living. So I'm excited for this exercise. I want to take this away and continue to dive deep and really get clear about what does it look like? What is it that I actually want to gain from my business? And what does that look like for the people on my team? Because I think that is so important, because without the clarity and knowing where you're going, how do you get there? Like, you're just traveling down a road doing whatever because you're not really sure where you're going. So that's why it's really important for me, I think, to gain that perspective back. I'm excited for things to come. I have never lost faith in what's possible. I think that there's so much opportunity in what we have here. So many more people that we can impact, both from a health perspective and a financial perspective. I'm excited to have all of you guys too. I'm excited to run with you all this year, and yeah, excited for everything to come.
Yeah. Thanks, Shelley. So to wrap it up just a little bit, because I know we're a little bit short on time. We're probably going to bleed over just a few minutes. I want you to share these visions and goals with people that you love and people that you trust. Now, I know Sean Croxton on Quote of the Day a couple weeks ago said, hold on to your goal as a little secret, but that's just not to get discouraged. So somebody that's trustworthy in your life deserves to know and hash through this with you a little bit. Again, ask the questions of, especially if you're in a relationship, what does building that look like? You know, Jerry said yesterday, do you think we'll retire to Carlsbad? And I was like, retire? I don't know what you're talking about. So it was really good to just, you know, you get honed in on some of those nuances of your vision to really get it clear. Where are you? Who are you with? What are you doing? How does that feel, you know, viscerally in your body? And so sharing it, being transparent about what that goal looks like, so that you can freely share it as it becomes necessary. I think that's the other thing I've heard in this book too, is to trust your intuition in conversations with people. It may be people that you don't know, how do I say it? It may be people that you listen to their story and you see an opening for you to share yours. You know, like that's where, oh, I remember feeling the same way she's feeling. This might be that opportunity that I've been waiting for to share with someone about my business, right? So looking for those opportunities to share that with other people, clearing the obstacles before they come, making a commitment to be part of professional and personal growth. I'm going to talk about that as we end. Consistency, even when you feel disappointed. That's why we create vision boards at the beginning of every month, because we want, or beginning of every year, or a vision journal. Some of you are taking that opportunity this year. Whatever it is that where you're writing what we've started today, or you're taking pictures of what that summer home looks like, or what culinary school it is, Sonia, that Bryce is going to be able to enroll in, or what Terry's new business looks like, Tanya. So trying, really honing in on the picture of that, so that it manifests in a way that feels positive, and possible. And then the last part is the actions, right? We can wish and dream all day long about unattainable things, but we know that this is a vehicle that leads to those outcomes. So what are we willing to do action-wise, going back to what Brandy said, action taking, that is going to push us to accomplish those things on a daily basis. I'm not going to belabor affirmations. But the habits and behaviors that we have, you guys know this is a big focus of mine through Aroma Freedom, through the opportunities that I've chosen in my life, living very intentionally over the last 8 years in particular. Actually, I would say over the last 10 years. I think the process started in 2009 for me. I noticed I was done. There was a shift. There was a new possibility emerging, right? and I think, not to be cliche, but I feel like with the new decade, or if you don't want to call it a new decade, with the new 2020 vision, you can choose how to expand and share and grow and transform into someone who is the leader of a team of 5,000, or a leader of a team of 50,000, or a leader of a team who is abundant and walks out my life in financial freedom. So those affirmations, many of you are familiar with how to write those. I am, I choose, I create. Leave behind words that are, wouldn't it be nice if? I would be happy if I just hit this, right? You're pushing it's the conscious language stuff. You can go back to Sonia Swan's video on conscious language and pick up a lot of great tips from that. This book has an entire 2 pages on denials and affirmations at the back, plus tons of little prayers and things embedded in the book there. So create that, is what I'm saying, so that when you look at your vision board, you have that determined, right? So that's what you're working for. It's not like you're working for a paycheck, like in a job. This is your business. This is your entrepreneurial business. So to close today, I just want the practical things I wanted to check in with you guys about. And I asked you some of this in my form, but the first thing is I made arrangements to go back to a weekly meeting in person in Peoria at 1:00 on Tuesdays at that Java and Jobs place where we held our last dream building session. I also have planted the seed with a couple of you who work full-time to say, when is another time that and would it be valuable to meet weekly? The group that used to meet at Java Grounds, we call them the Java Crew. I'm just sort of reinventing that a little bit and calling it Java Crew 2020. We'll meet at this Java and Jobs place on Tuesday. What they've missed over the last year not doing it has been the weekly accountability, the weekly check-in, and the weekly reminder of the community that helps support them to get to their goals. If that is a helpful thing for those of you who can't make it to an in-person daytime thing, can we put our heads together about another time that would be better? I know we've done dream building for our online group. Good, thanks guys. I know we've done online dream building for our group on Thursdays at 6 for the last few months, but I can't commit to that weekly because that's our intro to business call for Living Well Now. So we really should be sending people and being part of that. So is there another time and day of the week that we could meet consistently? Would those things, transfer in person? That from a business building perspective may be important to what we're creating here. Does that make sense? So it's a little bit rhetorical and a little bit of planting the seed now and let's figure it out later. But I'm telling you, that's why the weekly in-person was important for people. The Zoom, we're going to test it this week, Casey, to see about that. Only because, it's a pretty quiet space, but we're going to test it this Tuesday and check it out. I don't have the event made. We are going to start January 7th. I don't have the event made because when I make events in California, it screws up the time zone. So I'm waiting till I get home this afternoon to make those. I started to last night. I was super inspired, and I was like, shoot, the time zone's off. And we also do weekly accountability on Friday mornings with the Living Well Now, Andrea and Ann show. So we can, if that's enough, that's fine too. I like having personal too. So Sonia's throwing out Monday mornings. Monday evenings is another option. I'm open to those. I have a little more flexibility on my Mondays and Tuesdays now because of my daughter driving and my son not really needing me at soccer practice. So yay, there's those things. Okay. Sonia, could you make Monday evening work for you? Okay, cool. Are we thinking like a 6 o'clock or 7 o'clock? Like what time is best? Tamara? 6? Perfect. Okay. All right, let's do it. Okay, so I'll pull both of those events. I'll create both of those events. And then once a month, those events, we'll just make those our dream buildings too. So 3 weeks out of the month, it'll be our work session. And 1 week out of the month, it'll be a dream building. Oh, crap. And roller club party once a month is at 6. And I have to be in that. Is that the only hour you have, Tamara? Is there a later time?
So with my husband's revolving schedule,
Yeah.
if it's 6, I can still get little one to gym and pick her up.
Okay.
But it doesn't have to be around me. There's plenty of other
Well,
people.
I want you to be able to plug in though. So that's where what time is Jim over and what time does she go to bed?
It's over at 8 and she goes to bed sometimes on the way home.
I'm just pushing back a little bit because 8.
Could we do 7? And then Tamara, you could just listen to the last part in the car.
Yeah, was it in person or is it Zoom?
Zoom.
Oh, well then whenever. I can do in the car. Sorry.
Yeah,
I was thinking it was in person also, so I was driving in my mind to all the places. But I can drive
on your phone. Yeah, I'll probably be on my phone too on the nights that I end up taking him. The next couple weeks, my daughter's out of town, so yeah.
So I'm a lot more flexible.
Okay.
If it's that way.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, Sonia's in New River. And I know I want to bring in some of our East Coast people too, so that'll be 9 o'clock their time. So Cassie, I think Dinkle jumped on for a second. She's in Indiana, so I'll double check with her too. The other practical question, I also I do choose to have a vision board night, and we will Zoom you in for that, Casey. I don't have a great date for it. I know Wednesday, January 15th looked pretty open to me, and that was a night I was going to do Aroma Freedom. I want to host it at my house. I don't know if I said that. Just us? No, us and whoever you want to invite.
I'm open on the 15th.
Does the 15th work for you guys? 7? No? Wednesdays are not good, Shelly?
No, Wednesday's good, just not that one. I have that nutrition night thing.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
And the next week is the yoga fundraiser. Well, is it too long to wait till the end of the month? And do the 29th? Does that give you some time? I mean, part of this is vision boards don't have to be done in the first week. You know? Is the car ready?
I kind of like that with time.
Bus is pulling out.
I have to leave California.
I kind of like having time to kind of go through the rest of our activity too and put more thought into that.
Okay.
29th is great.
Okay. Let's pencil it in. And here's my mom. Okay, cool. So hi, everybody.
Happy New Year.
So and then the last question I asked you on the form was whether a group, like I've just been sort of undecided about whether 1,000-dare group over, I haven't been doing Friday after the Living Well Now. I did not do a Friday after the Living Well Now coaching call. The other coaching calls are up. Everybody says Happy New Year, Deb. So the Friday morning coaching calls at 7 a.m. are up. Chris, is that the one you mean? Yeah, they all went up and they've got new covers. They're all in Business Builders. They got made Thursday.
Is the 29th on Zoom or is that in person somewhere?
I would prefer to be in person, but if you have to join us on Zoom, that's great too. We'll give both options. Is that okay, Casey? I don't know what the and Casey and Cassie. Hi, Casey. Hi, Cassie. You both are out of state. That makes it 9 o'clock your time on a Wednesday. Or I'm sorry, if we start at 6, it would be 8 o'clock your time. Okay, 1,000-dare group is good. Everybody says Happy New Year.
Looking good, people.
All right, we're going to leave. We're going to go back to Arizona now.
Crushing goals over there, I see. Everybody's crushing goals.
Guys, thanks for spending the hour with me.
Travel safe home.
Thank you. Thanks for your sharing. Thanks for your vulnerability. Thanks for your visioning.